It's that time of week again. Sunday, 6 p.m., December 1st. Can't believe it's December already. Anyway, today we have a great show with Tom coming back and doing his presentation on the Great Pyramid with us. Okay, and by the meantime, I'd like to remind everybody we do have a YouTube channel out there. If you're listening on YouTube right now and you see that thumbs up out down below, make sure you take and you click on that to let the people know that you like our show and be looking for us, Um, so anyway, on our YouTube channel, we have like over 1,500 videos at this point. In fact, put about a couple on yesterday, I believe, and then I'll be doing some more tomorrow. And I'm in the middle of converting another year's worth of conferences from Global Sciences. I got 2 more years of Global Sciences to go. Then I'll be putting them at a different conference after that. So anyway, I encourage everyone to join. It's like $9.99. You can't beat that with a stick. Like I said, it's 1,500 of them. To get there, just go to the you click on the logo there or the QR code there, and that'll take you to our webpage. And our webpage is this yellow box here. And if you just click on YouTube channel, that'll take you to where you can actually become a subscriber. Its subscriptions are free. What that does is every time we put stuff up there, if you mark down notifications, you'll be notified that, hey, it's up there. And when we put it up there, then we also have a conference directory where you can go through. We have about 20 to 30 years worth of conferences up there. This allows you to go through and pick out the conference you want. You pull it up. It will have all the conferences listed, that you can watch. And then we also are building a speaker directory. So if you know what speaker you want to see, you click up on that speaker and bring up all the videos that we have of them online. It'll bring them up. So it's a great deal, some great tools there. And of course, it's an easy way to get to Steve's Place Live if you didn't know that already. So become a subscriber to the Tesla Tech channel. We have 19,000 subscribers. Our goal is to get to 20,000 by the end of the year. And you can help by just letting people know about us and referring them to this channel. Okay, and then of course our $9.99 YouTube membership gives people global access 24/7. If you're sitting in the space station watching the YouTube, or you could be down in the trenches in the Ukraine, or you could be at home, anywhere you're at in the world, if you have internet access, you'll be able to watch these videos. So I encourage everyone to get a global membership. It's like $9.99 per month. We have like over 1,500 videos up there. That's 1,500 DVDs you don't have to have sitting on your shelf. Although people may consider getting those if anything ever did happen. So anyway, we also have our past conference, our 2024 conference, which just happened this year. And to get to that, just go to the teslatech.info, and you'll see this logo here. You click on that, and that will take you to HowTube. HowTube is a company that does our live streaming for our conferences. And we have like I think like $99, like $99.99, I think it is. Anyway, for that sum, you get all the 30 some odd hours, that have been are online from our conference. That includes all the presentations, plus there was like between session interviews and that was being given live in that. It's all up there, for only $99.90. Lasts forever. So just go to HowTube there, and you can buy it now. And we also have T-shirts for sale too. So you might want to check in and get some of those great looking T-shirts. And So without further ado, let me introduce you to Tom Martens, he was here before, and he had the Nowick
The
device.
nitric oxide exchange chamber, yes.
Yeah, and uh, and that was quite the invention there.
Thank you.
And if anyone has a chance, you should go look at it. I kind of talked about it last week. You know, uh, the thing, it accomplishes the same thing Geet does, but I think it's a lot simpler thing. And and in the end, I think it's a lot simpler to build than the Geet device actually. And I don't think you have to worry about the vacuum leaks like you do on a Geet. But we're not here about that. What we're here about today is the Great Pyramid of Giza. You know, and we'd
Yep.
like to take it from there, Tom.
Well, thank you for having me again. I do appreciate this very much. My theory is that the Great Pyramid of Giza was a ram pump. And the reason why I think that is because one, the Nile did used to run next to the pyramids there, so it could have allowed water to go down to the subterranean chamber. Two, they did find Nile soil in the king's chamber before they cleaned it out. And three, before they dynamited it, there were wooden one-way valves in the subterranean chamber and the chambers leading up to the grotto. And so with those things in mind and a bunch of other things like this video here, I'll go this way. Stephen Meyer has videos out there on how the Great Pyramid was built, but he thinks it was a pump using implosion, which I don't really think it was. But that gave me the idea that it could be a pump. And so once I saw that picture that you have up there, that made me realize that maybe the bottom half was a ram pump because it's very similar to the lower chambers of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And that's what got me started building a PVC version at a rough 1/1000 scale to see if it would work. And actually it did. So if you want to play those videos that I sent you, we can watch those and then discuss it afterwards, if you would, please. Are you there?
I've had a lot of things going on, but this is the last video which proves proof of concept of the Great Pyramid of Giza ram pump theory. As you can see, I've built the top half of the pyramid with the vents, the King's Chamber, the Grand Gallery, the ascending passageway, the Queen's Chamber, all the way down to the grotto, down to the subterranean chamber, and it all goes right here to this bucket of free-flowing water. There's no hose in or nothing. It's just going in. As you can see, it's cycling just fine. And if we come over here, you can see the water coming out of what would be one of the vents. And I put that little elbow on there so it wouldn't run down the pipe, but it's actually pumping. So there's all the subterranean chamber, comes up to the grotto, goes up to the Queen's Chamber, through the Grand Gallery, up to the King's Chamber, and out one of the vent pipes. Here's the free-flowing water up to the bucket. Gonna have to add some more water here pretty quick. And as you can see, the water's coming out just fine. So this is proof of concept that the Great Pyramid of Giza was actually a ram pump. Like I said before, sorry about taking so long, but I had other things going on. Just got it finished up yesterday. And here it is, free-flowing water. Down to the subterranean chamber, up to the grotto, Queen's Chamber, Grand Gallery, King's Chamber, vents, and water coming out. in case you can't see.
There we go.
You can see the water coming out right there.
The video froze up there for a minute.
All right. Let me know what you think. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Yeah, the bucket does represent the Nile River, and the distance from that bucket to the subterranean chamber is equal to roughly 1/1000th scale of where the subterranean chamber opening is at the ground level. And there also used to be a moat around the Great Pyramid of Giza, a wall, and they tore it down because it was in the way. And so that's another reason why I think the Great Pyramid of Giza was a ram pump, because it allowed water all year round rather than just waiting for when it flooded, so they could have more for their crops, they could have more for their animals, they could have more for leisure time, and for just general more prosperity. And that picture there, if you look at the blue there on what's my right, that would be where the Nile River is. Now this is an actual picture of one that's actually in use, an industrial size one, and it has the waste valve sort of underground, but it does have an exit, because you got to have an exit for a ram pump. And the grotto was exposed at one time, and that's at ground surface. That's why I put it there at the grotto, because you can't have it underground; it just wouldn't work. The subterranean chamber, the Queen's chamber, and the King's chamber are all pressure areas, and the Grand Gallery and the floor of the King's chamber, I believe, are silt beds, because that water would slowly move up, and any silt that was in it would drain out, and drop out, and so that would be where all the silt would lie, and the water would flow down the sides of the pyramid into the moat. And so they, like I said, they could use that water for crops and animals and all kinds of good things, so they wouldn't have to wait for it to flood.
So you ready for the next video?
Yeah, this next video I did probably a couple minutes after. I forgot to say a few things, but yeah, if you want to play that one, that'd be great.
If I forgot to explain, I realized none of this is in exact proportion or orientation, but this is the best way I could do it with what I had to show everything. As you can see, it's still pumping, and there's water coming out over there. It's a little off center there, that's why it's not coming out of both ends, but I'm sure it would if I had a little more level. But this is the best I could do with what I got. And it is super critical on that angle right there. If you touch it just a little bit or mess with it, and then that valve there, if you open it too far, it kills it. But this is the actual ascending passageway right here that I think was actually the drain for all that up there when they had to clean it. So I represented it that way there. But this is it. You gotta be careful about getting air into that water, otherwise it kills the pump effect too.
Okay. So do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, so this is all done without any kind of power whatsoever.
Correct.
Right?
Ram pumps work without any kind of power source.
Okay. And so you get above the source of the water through what? By just pushing it up there, or?
Yeah, the water source has to be higher than where the water goes down. In a rear ram pump situation, you need a minimum of like 7 feet of fall before it hits the ram pump to be able to have it pump uphill. That's why they use ram pumps in remote locations, to pump water uphill. And then The bucket is representing the Nile River, which was at the level of the grotto, but going down, I don't have the measurements off the top of my head. I believe it was like 200 some feet down to the grotto, which is more than enough fall. The grotto area acts as a pressure chamber, sends the water up to the grotto where the ram pump is. The ram pump works, pushes water up. The Queen's chamber acts as a booster, as a pressure chamber, because it will get sealed off from the water as it rolls slowly. And then it goes to slowly rise up through the ascending passageway up to the King's chamber. And since the King's chamber has exits, the vents, the water would eventually push its way out and then fall over the sides of the pyramid down into the moat area for use.
Okay, so Wally Tango Foxtrot, it says, add the piezoelectric effect of the quartz and carbonate geomagnetic lensing of the pyramid, shape and layering of sandstone limestone for capacity reduction. That water becomes energized orgo. And
I've heard that theory. I have not seen anyone build it and actually put it to use. Although I don't disparage anyone from any of their other theories, because until they try it, who knows? It might work. But for mine, it doesn't require any kind of electricity or power source, unlike these piezoelectric versions that they try to say will help pump the water or energize it. My theory requires no power source, no anything except just the act of the falling water. It's a simple design. It actually works in real life, and it worked here on my invention.
Okay, and it also says pyramids were likely post-cataclysmic terraforming generators built to jumpstart local ecosystems, increasing fertility and habitation. Well,
are they talking about the Younger Dryas event, or are they talking about some other cataclysm? Because I think the pyramids are older than the Younger Dryas event, and it became out of use, or it couldn't be used anymore as ramp up because of the Younger Dryas event cataclysm.
Okay, and here you go. Can you explain your eureka moment? This is most definitely outside the box style of thinking.
Well, thank you. Well, like I said, I was always curious about what the Great Pyramid of Giza was used for. And none of the other things made any sense, and no one built anything to test it to prove their theory. So I was like, well, until you build it and prove it, that doesn't mean anything. And that video I showed you of Stephen Myers, that was some of the videos that I watched. And there's a gentleman in England who has the same type of video on how to build it, and that's what really got me thinking. Well, if there used to be a spring that came out of the grotto, so they had a water source, and you could use locks and dams to float the rocks up to where you needed, just like they do today with boats. And that's what got me thinking. Well, if it has its own water, why couldn't it be a ram pump? Because once I said, like this picture you're showing, once I saw that, it reminded me of the lower half of the Great Pyramid of Giza. That's what gave me the idea right there. This picture was really what made it like, wow, that to me, that's what it looked like.
So then it says, it makes totally sense the water would be filled with mediums. I think he's talking about before, where Wally was talking about the it flowing through stones or whatever.
For the piezoelectric effect?
Yeah.
I don't know if water dampens that, or you need to actually rub the stone to make that, have friction to make that go. I haven't really studied exactly how, that works. I've seen it, being explained of that effect, but I've never seen anybody actually do anything with it. So it's really hard for me to believe that works. But like I said, I don't disparage anyone from their theories. Build it, test it, and if it works, great.
Well, I would say, like you have seen it, like when in the Geet device, when he has the rod inside the thing, and you have a fluid flowing, or a gas flowing over the rod, anytime you have a material flowing over another material like that, it creates a charge. Okay, so yeah,
That's with pressure too, right?
pressure is different thing. Just the fact that it's rubbing a surface,
Oh, the water surface tension causes that.
it's enough. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, of course, I don't have any piezoelectric thing going on mine since it's PVC and no blocks or anything. But hopefully, when I sell or license my invention, I will have the money to build a much larger scale, actually a size for size, and actually build my Great Pyramid of Giza ram pump theory at size. And then I'll give these people who think it was built with locks and dams their chance to prove that that's the way it was built, because to me that's the best theory out there. They just haven't built anything to show that it would work.
Well, I know. Okay, James here says, when would this be used?
Well, this would be used year round rather than waiting for the floods to come in and flood their fields for their crops. This would allow year round water for prosperity. They'd be able to feed their animals. They'd be able to drink the water themselves. They'd be able to, do crops, have swimming pools and play parks, and just a better way of life with water all year round. Because that's not the way it was back then until they built this. They had to wait for the floods to come every spring.
So I'm sure that you could probably come up with a different layout for the plumbing to get the same effect, right? Or
well, the ram pumps that I use, there's two different pressure chambers I use for the subterranean chamber and the grotto. It's called Land to House. That's on YouTube also. That's where I found the ram pumps, because YouTube recommended this video after I watched the pyramid videos. It's called Land to House. I bought those ram pumps. I didn't know I was working with him on this to see if he had no idea if it would work because of all the different weird shapes that I have, but it's the basic same concept of, because there's a one-way valve on the valve down, so the water can't be pushed back up, and there's a one-way valve on the way up, so the water can't fall back down either. For the ram pump, you have to have that in every ram pump. You don't necessarily have to have a one-way pump on the way down, but that's what the Great Pyramid of Giza had, so I included it.
well, I can see a use for this would be like, well, you have dams, where you have to release, water to get electric generation. But it seems to me like you could use this kind of situation to recover some of that water and pump it back into the dam.
Yeah, the exit, if you funnel that to an actual industrial size ram pump, yeah. Now the problem with ram pumps is that they waste a lot of water. Now, for what this is being used, that wasn't a problem for them because it was a spring that was feeding them the water there from the grotto. And so they could have the water to build the pyramid and the water to feed the pyramid, so to speak, to make it happen. So wasting the water wasn't a problem. Once I think at some point in time, maybe after the Younger Dryas event, it altered the structure of the earth beneath the grotto there. It stopped producing the spring there. It still would have worked, but after 15,000 years, the Nile migrated away and exposed the opening to the lower the subterranean chamber, and then it stopped working because of the migration of the Nile River.
Okay. I'm looking. I say I use Hoover Dam because I live practically next door to it. But there, we have a problem, with the Lake Mead getting drawn down to the point, where it won't be able to produce electricity, But here, if you have this kind of setup, they can allow enough water run through to produce electricity and then pump some of that back up, And,
Yep.
and water waste doesn't really waste it because they need water downstream anyway. So it's really not a waste in the
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
In that case, yeah,
that's-
you wouldn't be wasting it. You'd just be sending it downstream anyway, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Now there is a better version of a ram pump. It's called a pop-up pump that I found on YouTube. Well, actually, it recommended it to me. It's a much more efficient and it lasts longer with less maintenance, but it doesn't look like and it doesn't act like the a regular ram pump that reminded me of what the Great Pyramid of Giza looks like underneath the subterranean chamber. It doesn't. It's just not the same design, and so that's why I found that after, of course. But it doesn't look like anything that would work for the Great Pyramid of Giza because of the shape and the internals of it.
Okay. Well, we have a guy here, Wally. He seems to be quite an expert on this kind of stuff.
Okay.
He says he's talking about multiple older events. Okay, then it's a study of William Reich, Oregon, water vessel, energized hydrogen. That gets back to where the water could be charged, I guess. And he says these pyramids were built on geomagnetic ley lines, structure and shape of pyramid lenses, lenses of geometric energy. Yeah.
They were built in a specific way and on a specific lines, correct. But today, even today, no one has built anything to show that that actually worked to produce energy. So like I said, I don't disparage anybody, but until they build it and test it, we just don't know.
And he says the passage long construed to be used to observe stars were likely events to release energized H2O vapor and Oregon for terraforming.
Actually, I believe they found that those vents actually don't point to anything in particular and never did. And build one and test it. Let's see it work. Until then, I can't believe it. Like I said, I won't disparage it, but until they build it and test it and show that could happen today, it doesn't mean anything.
And then, are you aware of similar construction in the other various pyramids around the world?
To my knowledge, no other pyramid is built this way. I think the second pyramid and the other pyramid were attempts to copy the Great Pyramid of Giza, but they didn't have the same grotto to work with and available subterranean chamber. They didn't know what they built it after the cataclysm because no one knew what the Great Pyramid was used for. But no other pyramid has that type of construction underneath or inside.
So, do you have what are your future plans for this?
Well, I built it, tested it, and it worked. And I just want to get the word out there because I know people like Randall Carlson are always looking for reasons. I sent these videos to them. They have never commented on them. Same with Bright Insight. I've sent the videos to him. I've sent it to Funny Old World. I've sent it to all the people that are interested in stuff, and none of them have ever commented on it. And they told me, hey, this might be something. And I don't know why. I'm just trying to get the word out. And I had a theory, but my theory didn't mean crap until I built it and tested it. And guess what? It worked. So mine is the first 1/1000th, roughly 1/1000th scale build of what a possibility of what the Great Pyramid of Giza could have been used for. There's nothing else out there that anyone has ever tested or built to prove their theory. And like I said, have at it, build it, test it. If it works, great. But until then, it doesn't mean anything. You can say anything you want, but until you build it, it means nothing.
Okay, so I'm going to put this movie back on, the first one.
A lot of things going on, but this is the last video, which proves proof of concept of the Great Pyramid of Giza ram pump theory. As you can see, I've built the top half of the pyramid with the vents, the King's Chamber, the Grand.
So you see where the water's squirting out of that copper fitting? Is that necessary?
That's the actual valve you need to have in a ram pump. And
okay.
in the actual grotto itself, there was a structure in there that they destroyed because they thought they were going for treasure down there. So no one really knows what it was. But yeah, it doesn't have to be brass. It can be stainless. It has to be something that can hold up because it's working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all the time.
So why do you have, like, let's say, okay, you see what the brass thing is, right? And you go up and go to these black, what are those, black fittings there?
Yeah, those are the connectors. There's a shutoff valve there.
Okay.
Just in case I didn't want the water to run out of the top there, as when I shut everything off. But yeah, you can ignore the shutoff valves. That's just for not to let the water fall out of the top while I was testing.
And that's the same thing for the one where you see like one red valve on the T where it's going down and one's going up at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, those shutoffs. One I used as a restrictor because you need back pressure on a ram pump to make it work. That's what the uphill pipe is. It creates back pressure on the ram pump so it'll work. And like I said, this is a very, very rough 1/1000 scale. Like if it was 97 feet, I made it 9.7 inches. And that's what I based building everything on, was so I could build it out of PVC. And if I couldn't get close, I did the best I could. Like that grand gallery, that thing, that bulge that's right there, that piece doesn't even exist in real life. I just found pieces that made it work. I told everyone what I was doing at Menards, and they're like, okay, you can put this, and this together. And I'm like, perfect. And, like I said, this is a very rough scale, everything. But in the end, it worked. And so I was able to prove my theory. And that's what I ask everyone else to do.
So the neighbors call you nuts or what?
No. No, most of my neighbors know me. One person was walking by and was asking about it. And of course, they didn't know anything about the Great Pyramid of Giza. So it was really hard to explain what I was doing that way. But they were kind of mesmerized by what was going on there because it was making a big water mess all over everything and running down the driveway. So, but yeah, I mean, I get an idea and I build it, and so my neighbors, that they know me, and I don't know if they think I'm weird or not, but I don't care.
They ask if you're replumbing your house.
Yeah. There is a lot of pipe there, though.
Oh yeah. So okay. Getting back to some questions here. Here's some comments.
Okay.
You have Wally. Let me dump this for now. That went too far. Okay. Was granite, quartz, limestone, carbonate were chosen as building materials for piezoelectric effects and different and piezo potentials. One-sided capacitor plates. Okay.
If that's true and it works that way, that could have helped purify the water of any pathogens. That part could work.
Yeah. And so some pyramids not survive cataclysmic solar geometric events. Instead, become explosive induction points for plasma release. Okay.
Yeah, the first pyramid that is, I believe it's north of this. I forget the name of it, but it looks like it got hit by something. It was destroyed. And something got really hot in there. So I think that was during the Younger Dryas event. Now, it could have been something else. We don't know. Because you know who the geologist, the water guy with the black curly hair. I can't think of his name right now, but he thinks it was a solar event that could have been part of the problem too. So if they had a solar event and the Younger Dryas event at the same time, that would have screwed up everything.
Yeah. Okay. So you plan to study any more pyramids or any of these other structures, like you say the Sphinx?
Well, the Sphinx is actually besides the reconstruction they did, is that piece of stone is one piece. Is actually part of the bedrock, and it's actually salt water. That's why it needs so much maintenance all the time. I think it was the face of a man at one time before, it got destroyed. And one of the other pharaohs who came along after the Younger Dryas event put the cat face on there. There's don't really have any evidence of that, but they said there's some special chambers in the Sphinx. I think it's much, much older than what the Egyptologists say. I think it's at least 15, 20,000 years old, if not older, because it's out of place when you look at it compared to the pyramid. So I think it might have been built after, but not too long after the pyramids. I think it was built the same time that the second and the third pyramid were built, but I have no evidence of that either because no one really knows.
Okay. So you're planning on going to see one of these pyramids?
Oh, I would love to go see the Great Pyramid of Giza and see everything, but it's not in the finances right now.
Finances? Who needs money? I still can't get over with the way you built that the whole thing out of PVC there.
Yeah. Did you see the little twisties I had there at the bottom to mimic the ascending passageway to the grotto?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's exact, but I tried to put it in there so it would look more like the subterranean chamber. It's got two dead-end valves, the one going out straight and the one going down. I couldn't make it exactly like the subterranean chamber, obviously. That would have been taking some real customized stuff that would have cost thousands of dollars, which I didn't have. I only had money for PVC, unfortunately. But I represented each chamber, each pressure chamber with a ram pump pressure chamber to show that that's what I think they were.
And do you think there's a way to get rid of the water loss?
Say that again?
Well, you have a lot of leaking water. Okay. So you think it would be possible to get rid of all those leaks?
That water that was coming out of the ram pump is normal. That's not a leak.
Well, at the top, but I'm talking about through all these other orifices there.
Well, that would have ran down the side of the pyramid into the moat and filled the moat up for water for the people and, like I said, for crops and animals and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It would have flown out of both sides. And the ram pump has a lot of hammering effect. That's why I think they use stone to absorb all that hammering effect, so it wouldn't be very loud and it could handle that kind of thumping all the time because they make a lot of noise. There's a good hammer effect on ram pumps that go back up, and so you need something sturdy and strong that can handle that. And I think that's why they build it out of stone.
Well, I didn't hear any noises coming out of your pump.
Well, that clicking, if you can, that valve would have been the size of a room, and that flap would have been probably 3 feet thick, and it would have been kaboom, 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 kaboom. So they had to dampen that noise from that happening.
So what we need to do is put one of these little tiny microphones on that pipe there so you can pick that up. So, okay. Is there anything else that you have to cover?
Well,
have you built a simplified one, like something like this?
Well, this is just setting it up. If you see that one that's got supports on it, that goes up to the water that they actually use. Like I said, this is a picture of one, a digital representation of one that's actually in use as an industrial size. So that way they can pump water way uphill. But they don't care about the wastewater. And as far as the actual my idea, the water coming from the grotto would have been pumped right into the moat too, because that's the same. So that would have filled the moat even faster. So you wouldn't be wasting any water at all.
Okay, so So Mike, those are saying the non water mass has a pressure per water vertical, and it says the pipe diameter matters. Well, what people need to remember is water weighs 8 pounds per gallon, approximately. So, so it's amazing. Well, like I used to have to go. I had like a milk crate which carried 6 gallons in it. Okay, and I used to go and get my water filtered, because I lived in a place where it's so hard. Then we turn on the water in your bathroom, you have to back up because you get hit by one of those boulders coming out and hit your foot. You got to break your foot. It's so hard. But so we had to go and get filtered water, and just one of those cases of 6 gallons is 50 pounds. You know, people don't understand, that water is heavy.
Yeah, water
No.
will only match the level on the other side. It doesn't matter how much pressure there is. It will only go as high as the water level that it comes from. It won't go any higher. That's why you need a ram pump to push it up higher.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're still pushing up quite a lot of weight, though. People, if you're talking, let's say it was a huge pump and you're able to pump like 1,000 gallons per hour, that's 8,000 pounds per hour. That's a lot of weight.
Yeah, that's why you have to have that backflow and anti-backflow valve after the ram pump, so that way the water, can't put back pressure on everything.
And they have to be pretty rugged construction because that's a lot of weight it's holding back. Keeping it from flowing backwards.
Yep.
Or as some people says, pipelines matter.
Well, actually, squirrel lives matter and raccoon lives matter too, if you're going to talk about that.
Yeah. Anyway, water hose memory, and then here's Mike. Write the valve backflow valve. Write the valve backflow valve.
Well, we are drinking dinosaur piss if you really want to think about it, since water has memory.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you gotta be careful where you get your water anyway.
I use a filter that takes care of it, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, well, I was always taught, like, when you go to drink some water, up in the mountains and that, you better go up a few feet and see if anybody's been up that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Know the water you're drinking.
You have heard about hydrogen water, haven't you?
Yes.
Yep. I actually use it 5 or 6 nights a week, and when I work out, I drink some after I work out.
Well,
I have one of those hydrogen bottles that makes hydrogen water.
Well, what these guys, with these bronze gas generators have, like when you're making the bronze gas, they bubble the hydrogen through that too, so that's how they make their hydrogenated water. So.
Yeah, I don't think you'd want to drink that water if it's got that bronze gas in it. That's noxious stuff.
Do it all the time. I mean, and they breathe it too, But I'm looking at some stuff, about like maybe we're getting too much acid, like water itself is an acid, and most people don't realize that.
Water is usually right around the 7 pH, is it not?
It's an acid because it has an extra, because of the hydrogen. Okay, anything that carries hydrogen, like sulfuric acid, because it has a hydrogen mix in it, makes it an acid. It's that extra H in it.
Well, if it has the minerals in it of calcium, magnesium, and things like that, that trades electrons, so it gets neutral.
And you think about it, water is the greatest solvent in the world. It's the most widely used solvent in the world.
Yep.
But it's a mild acid. Okay, so here we go. Here you go. He goes, H2O2, not added hydrogen peroxide? Oh, yes.
Uh, the hydrogen water adds more hydrogen, not oxygen.
Yeah.
That's where the O2 would, the extra O2 would come from more oxygen, not hydrogen.
Well, O2 is an extra oxygen thing.
Yeah, but I think he's talking about the hydrogen water, I think.
Um,
Yeah, it's not extra oxygen, it's extra hydrogen, so it wouldn't be H2O2.
he's saying here, water we drink has heavy hydrogen called deuterium.
Actually, that's very rare. There's not much heavy water unless you get it made, but it's not in tap water.
Well, it's in all water. It's just in very, water has, I think it's like 36 isotopes. And in heavy water, it is poisonous. If you can get deuterium-free water, which is the goal, it's supposed to be the healthiest water for you. And deuterium is used to help facilitate nuclear reactions. And Yellow Brown, well, the last water to freeze is actually deuterium. So the first water to thaw is the deuterium.
Okay.
So so what happens is one of the Yellow Brown was which was bronze gas, developed bronze gas because he was kicked out of a monastery because the monastery taught that the world was going to end in fire. And Yule was kind of confused there because he couldn't see how a planet with so much water could burn, So that's what led him to study how can water burn, and that's led him into bronze gas and that. But one of the driving factors is his work was to develop a pollution-free engine, because in the Arctic you have all this ice, and when the ice melts, okay, the first water melt is deuterium, and it drops down to the bottom of the ocean. Okay, being heavy, and then that would flow down from the Arctic regions to the south, and his big worry was that here we are, we're dumping all this nuclear waste in the ocean. I mean, like when they did those nuclear tests down in the South Pacific, what do you think happened to all those ships? The ship, I think they had an aircraft carrier, if I remember right. They brought that back to San Francisco, and they loaded it with all the waste they could find, all the nuclear waste, and then turned around and sunk this thing right outside of San Francisco Harbor, right on the other side of the Golden Gate out in the Pacific. That's the out of sight, out of mind mindset that we have. Out of mind, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, that's not good.
And but the problem is, here you have all these nuclear masses starting to accumulate on the floor, and when that deuterium gets down there, it could facilitate the nuclear reactions in that, which could end up in,
You'd have to concentrate it, wouldn't you?
Huh?
You'd have to concentrate the deuterium quite a bit, wouldn't you?
Well, this is what you all thought, okay?
Right.
And he thought, like when these guys were messing with the nuclear bomb, when they set that first one off, they didn't know if the whole atmosphere was going to turn into one huge reaction. Yeah.
Well, they had theories of what would happen. They thought it was safe, but until you test it, you really don't know. And they found out that it didn't happen. So that's good. We're still
Yeah,
here.
but the thing is there could have happened in their theory and that, and they did it anyway, So
Well, no, they had mathematical equations that said it wouldn't happen. But just like with anything nuclear, until you test it, you don't know.
yeah.
You don't know for sure. Well, they found out.
Yeah, but see, that gets to another thing is like, does people have a moral right to subject the entire planet to a theory, and yet they do it all the time, and
Well, yeah, back then, but they don't do it
even
today.
now, it's
Let's get
worse
back on
now,
topic, please.
huh?
Let's get back on topic, please.
Okay, so what are we gonna do with your pump?
Say that again.
What are we gonna do with your pump?
Well, like I
So
said,
where are
my
you gonna
idea
go with
is
your
to
pump?
get a lot of people to see it, build it themselves, improve upon it, and like I said, once I sell and/or license my invention, I will build a full-size scale and give these people who think who think otherwise a chance to build their thing and test it, and we can get it out there. Okay, let's see. Life energy creates energized hydrogen that is the building block of material water life. For a plant to produce life and water, it must have an active plasma core. Look at the planet Mars to see the derelict. Well, I don't think we have a plasma core. We have a molten iron core. I think Mars got hit during the late heavy bombardment with something that destroyed its core. That's why it died. Because I think it was Earth before Earth was Earth, and there's evidence of that. It's too bad because then we could have 2 habitable planets. But until they build the electromagnetic field around Mars, you really can't have life on Mars because it's just too much electromagnetic radiation.
I don't know. You can have domes. Anyway,
Yeah, but you wouldn't need domes if you had an atmosphere.
yeah, well, our atmosphere. Well, then we can get into biblical things like the pre-Noah atmosphere was mostly water. You have the penumbra around it. This membrane that surrounded the planet, and when that was pierced, that's what caused the Great Flood and everything. And the oceans that we have. So yeah, and then our lives went from like hundreds of years down to like less than 100. But yeah, that's getting pretty. Okay, here you go. Pyramid does look like ram pump. Okay,
Yeah.
with 45-degree angles. Okay, and it says open source, the path to the future. Using the patent office is a good way to give a few small annoying and suppress for the rest.
Yeah, there's no patent on this though. This is open source. It's a theory that I had. I built it, I tested it, it worked. So have at it. You want to build one yourself? Go ahead. Just get the word out, let other people know, and that's what it's about.
So, okay, then we have we were talking about CERN earlier. CERN is one of these experiments that they didn't know was going to happen. And she goes, I forgot what CERN stands for. You know?
I know it's the Combined European
okay.
Something.
Research network, would be a European research network. And I don't know what the C would be unless it's the
maybe that. All we know is that they crash molecules into each other trying to figure out where life came from and how life started. And it looks like they found that Higgs boson, the theory was found to be correct, and then maybe not. Then a couple of years later, they figured out, well, maybe not. But yeah, that's kind of cool.
That's cool. I saw a picture the other day. It was the first photo of a photon. And you can actually see it. Okay, here you go. Central European Research Network.
Okay, I was pretty close.
So, Anyway, I'm gonna. If anyone has any pressing questions, now the time to do because I'm gonna kind of close this out right now. Okay, and
Well, hey, thank you so much for having me. I do appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for watching, and I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving.
yeah, and I want to remind everybody about our YouTube channel. Anytime you join for the $9.99 really helps us. But even if you don't do that, be a subscriber. Okay, subscribers count. As far as like well, a lot of things. But one is it tells YouTube how popular we are, and the more um, thumbs up we get, the more likes we get, the more subscribers we get, the more people will see us, and we can kind of spread the word on some of the alternative stuff, the more serious science stuff. And there's not a whole lot of people out here doing this, and so we'd like to become more, and that's where the future is. And don't forget about the video on demand. Just go to the testatech.info and click on this logo here, and get last year's thing. It's like $99, allows you to see everything forever. It's a one-time fee for last year. And you're going to have footage up there you're not going to get anywhere else. So with that, thank you again, Tom, for being here.
Thank you, and I'll leave you with a teaser if it's okay.
Go ahead.
The next time you see me, I will have ironed out my newest idea on how to charge electric vehicles in under 5 minutes. Once I get it all ironed out, I'll be back and I'll let you know how it worked and what it's called.
And with that, we'll see you all next week, and you'll have a great day.